All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the AM show. Episode 10 this week. Closing out, right about to hit finals week. Adam, is the stress getting to you yet?
I don't know if it's stress is the word or if it's just like a little bit of like relief times like everything's coming down to like right now, like, of course how finals go. You got a bunch of stuff too, all coming down in the next like 5, 6, 7 days. So just making sure you're getting everything done on top of managing hardcore senioritis.
Definitely can agree with that.
I don't know if that's even a thing in college because like you obviously need to graduate, and in high school they're not just gonna like push you by. But yeah, definitely, I'm definitely checked out. First day, no hoodie. Weather's real nice. It's definitely a little bit of a different feel on campus nowadays. Maybe it's just because like we've been here so long and we know that it's like we're about to wrap, and everyone else is. I don't know. It just feels like a weird time on campus, but I'm with it. I'm with it for sure.
The only negative to this time, other than finals week, is allergy season. Allergy season is hitting hard. I can't even speak. My nose is stuffed. I'm not feeling tippy top shape right now.
Dude, I mean, it's been. It's gonna be a bad year. I mean, just driving around campus, especially when they mow the lawns, it's like
It's brutal.
It's brutal around here. All the pollen. But I mean, it's the nice part about having such a green campus, like. Not eco-friendly green, like physical, like green grass, trees, and all that stuff. Like you're gonna get the pollen. It's fine. I mean,
It's beautiful to look at, though.
it is nice to look at, like right on the river. I guess now I don't want to really get sentimental on everyone, but we do have a really nice campus. That is something that I did not take for granted, or that I took for granted because I went to school on the river too. So like I've grown up on the Hudson River and seen, but like. Playing a sport here must have been awesome. Like right on the river, like beautiful view. Yeah, I mean you would know.
Yeah.
I mean I know it sucks you guys get to play down there often, but just like practicing there every day, it must actually suck for practice because I know with the river comes coldness, and I watched you guys practice last Thursday. I know you saw. I think maybe one or two other guys saw me, but I had some time to kill before something, and so I was like. Thursdays are my late day. I do the pod, and this is the first thing I do in the day, and then I got my last class ends at 5. But there was like some ceremony last week, so I wasn't gonna go home and then come all the way back down in an hour and a half. So I was just chilling. I was like, oh, lacrosse team is practicing. The wind was so bad that day. I don't know if it's like that every day for you guys, but I was sitting up top, like in front of the dorm building, and bags were just flying around. Like I had to hold on to my backpack. That was on my back because I was going to get yanked. And you know how, I mean, I'm a big boy. I'm no small guy. Like, the wind's not blowing me over. But I was like, oh, like, this wind is coming. So is it always like that?
Sometimes, there's like bad days, there's good days, but we really don't practice on this field, especially in the beginning of the season, because the actual grass is just shot. Like, there's just no other way to put that. But, sometimes that wind, same thing for me. I'm a big boy, but sometimes the wind down there, it pushes me around sometimes. And
especially
I don't know how the smaller kids do it.
Dude, especially with a lacrosse ball, like that, it's not that heavy. Like it'll move in the wind. Like it's not, it's not a baseball coming 100 miles per hour at you. Like it's gonna move a little bit. So, man,
definitely gets a little tough. Yeah, when it gets windy.
Last thing I'll say about your practice, I know I joked a lot about this with Sawyer, is like being the only goalie in practice, but man, God bless that kid because what he was going through in practice, everyone just like chirping and ripping shots at him, and I mean I think I was there for maybe like 45 minutes, and you guys were doing like an offensive drill. I think like my lacrosse knowledge is not great, but basically like you guys were on the offensive zone for. What seemed like a half hour. It was only 3 or 4 goals when everyone just ripping shots at him. But man, when someone scored, you guys let him hear it. And if I was the only goalie and you guys put me through the shit like that, I would have killed people. I will just say that. Yeah.
I gotta say though, we love Sawyer. We understand what he's like going through, but this was actually like our last week of practice was probably our best week that we had throughout the whole entire season.
Of course.
Everyone was really for lack of a better term, going balls to the wall and, really showing out for our last week, showing out for the seniors who were playing in their last practices ever. and the energy was really high. I have to say we weren't as much chirping Sawyer. We like to chirp Sawyer sometimes.
No, it wasn't
kids
like
on this defense. They were talking their stuff, and we just have to answer back. But it was a great last week of practice. I have to say, playing in our last game wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but we really came out there and played as hard as I've ever seen some of these kids play, and I just gotta thank them for that. Going off in a loss, but in a good game that my team was in until the very last minute, and after the game, exactly what you were saying before, how beautiful it is playing at this campus. We walked over, got undressed a little bit, and I was just kind of sitting there and looking at the view, looking at the field, getting a little sentimental.
As I say, getting all sentimental on me.
100%. I walked over to the the far side, sitting out right on the right next to the train tracks against the fence, just looking out. Was there for probably like 5-10 minutes. Then the other seniors came over, sat down with me for 5 minutes. We had a little talk, and then we all went back. We had a beautiful ceremony. The parents did an absolutely great job with that.
Wait, you do the ceremony before or after the game?
Well, we do, the parents come down on the field. We take pictures with the AD, Mrs. Burns, and our coaches. So that was nice. We have great pictures from that. And then after the game, we had food set up. They gave us senior gifts. We got a nice a real wooden shaft, and it has a Dolphins emblem on it, our name, our number. Absolutely beautiful.
Wow,
and it was definitely a great time.
Should have brought that in. Would have been nice decoration.
I sent it right back when my parents back to Staten Island. I knew if I kept that thing, there was something bad happening in the next 2 weeks. But it was just great. We had a nice picture frame for us, all 5 of the seniors, and it was great. Great way to hang up the cleats. Was thinking about coming back. Using those 2 years eligibility, but my body has been failing me for the last 3 years. Achilles injuries, ankle injuries, anything you can think of, lower body. But, it was really just fun to, lace them up one last time and get out there with the boys.
No, I mean, it makes sense. I wish I kind of, obviously, I wish I played sports here and definitely in college. But, being on a team the last, probably 3 years, especially, must have been – we have to learn a lot about each other. No practices. You gotta deal with all that stuff, and just you got a lot closer. Especially when you guys realized you were having even an abbreviated season last season. You guys still have to stay together. You still have to be smart. So you're hanging out 24/7. Even that was how you guys were before. Now it's okay, it's all on you guys. You don't get sick, I don't get sick, and then we get to continue to have a season.
Yeah, I gotta say last year especially. I didn't see much of anyone else other than kids in my classes or my lacrosse team. We would go to practice, come back to the calf, relax with each other, eat, and then right back to the rooms, and we were in solitary. But it was a great time. We really did get to know a lot about each other. Loved the kids on the team. Going through that time of going 3-0 and then COVID hitting my sophomore year, and then coming back, playing 5 games again. Getting smacked around, to be honest. It was a real, wake-up call for, some of the seniors that were coming into this year. And, James Fitzgerald got this program moving in the right direction. And, I'm excited to come back next year, whenever I get off, get a chance to come out and see the boys. Apparently, the rumors are we're getting a turf field, but we don't know how true that is.
I was going to say that after this is, what's the over-under on years till you get a field? Because this was the exact same thing for me in high school. I worked for it and campaigned for it for 6-7 years. I graduated. Next football season, there was turf on the field, and so I know that's something you've been working on a lot for your tenure here. What? So how long? Next year?
Honestly, there's some stuff going on with the athletics department. Maybe an outside team, a soccer club coming in, and really pushing some of the money through. But I'm pretty sure they were supposed to have a meeting for that within either today or the next couple of days. So, I'm praying for, obviously Sawyer and my boy Gio, going to be seniors next year, going to play on that nice new field. But, same thing happened to me in high school.
Exactly.
It was a serviceable field for 3 years. I played soccer and lacrosse, so I was on that thing all year long. And as soon as I'm about to hit my lacrosse season senior year, they tore up the field, and now they have a beautiful field. They got those I don't know if you ever seen them, but like usually on lacrosse fields they got some kind of netting up. They
Yep.
got like the poles and netting all around. It goes up to like the 20-yard line.
Never have to chase a ball again.
Never chase the ball again. My field was pretty big in high
That's
school.
such a quality of life thing. Like, oh my God. I played lacrosse for 1 year, and whenever our coach, we used to call it, I mean, maybe it's a universal thing, but like ball chase, where you just got to get every ball, and he knew exactly where the ball.
They count them.
Bro,
they definitely count them.
There's no way he's listening to this, but my guy Drew Warney, I played lacrosse for 1 year, and everything I heard about this guy from freshman year to junior year was that he was the biggest psychopath in the world. And then we played his junior year, like kind of like a last, like me and all my boys wanted to play a sport we haven't done before with one of my other good friends. So he only played lacrosse, so we all hopped on the team. This man knew exactly how many balls we had every day of practice. If he knew if he gave his dog one, we had 75 balls. There were one day where we only found 60. That was the
15
worst.
laps?
I wish it was laps. I wish it was laps. It was. I mean, they don't call them suicides anymore. What do they call them? Line drills or something like that. So, 100 yards, 15 yards, 100 from goal line 20 back, goal line 40 back, goal line 60 back, goal line 80. 15 of those.
I'm getting PTSD right now.
What? We actually stayed an hour after the practice. It was pitch black.
That's absurd.
Shout out Drew Warney. Love you.
Yeah, I had that same thing in high school, but as soon as I graduate, these kids never got a ball hunt again. Everything's just sitting on the back line. But honestly, it's looking pretty good for a turf field. I don't want to.
How many of your boys are coming back for using their extra years? Anyone?
I
heard there's like a lot of uncertainty with this master's program right now. That's probably messing a lot of people up. I didn't really hear about this until a few weeks ago. Well, I'm sure you knew, because you have kids in the business school. But I mean, I only hang out with the comp majors. Basically, people are in my class and you. So, but yeah, I mean, that sucks. Especially if those kids were planning on using their eligibility and staying here. They kind of got screwed.
Yeah, one bad thing about it was there's no master's program for comm here, so I was looking either to go into something with teaching, but me, I'm a sports guy. I would love to do physical education in like a high school or something, maybe get a coaching job.
God,
but they don't have that here.
That's the dream.
Also, big history guy. I have my history minor here at the Mount, and maybe that's something I can look into. But hey, if we get a turf field, anything can happen. But I think one of the 4 seniors, and I guess me, so that's 2. Considering it, we got 2 years eligibility. It all depends on the money. If they can give me some money, just so I don't have any student loans coming out of here, I'd be on board. But
unlikely.
We'll see. Yeah, unlikely, but
I wish.
Never say no though.
What would a comm masters be? What would you even do? What would you? Yeah,
I don't know. They don't even have it, so not even.
No,
not even
don't worry about it. I guess before we move on, our top 5 today is going to be our top 5 sports video games, and we were supposed to have a good friend of ours, Gilbert, come in studio. He had some things come up. He got stuck at home, so we're hoping we can squeeze him in next week. We're shooting for another episode next week. We don't know what time because we got to work out our final schedule and make sure we can. I'm hoping it's still Thursday. We can get down here and hop in the stew. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that. This is not our last episode. We'll have one more. So that's your programming alert. We kept our top 5 though because it's a good top 5, and we catered most of the show for about Gilbert and having him talk a little bit about what he does and how he thrives outside of the Mount. But maybe we'll just have to save it for next week. But yeah, a little programming though. 15 minutes in, whatever.
Just to get a little recap, I know it's 15 minutes in, but we had a great week last week. Me and Adam went to the Rangers-Canes game, and that was electric. We had a little Mets wrestling team going on the field. Right now, the Mets are sitting at 18 or 19. Yankees 18, 17. 18. Yeah, 18 to 9.
Come on, that's a big difference. we didn't lose those 10 games. Yeah, there's a lot of. Let's do hockey first because I've been really in tune, obviously extra in tune with the playoffs going on. So I'll just give a little backstory from this. It was game 1 of the first round. The Rangers are playing Pittsburgh. They're in the Garden. I have rumors swirling around Maryville that Pincus was going. The word had gotten to me. I was like, okay, like let's go. First overtime, nothing. Obviously, the game goes to overtime. So I text Matt. I probably like right between the first and second overtimes, and I go, whatever. Like I was like, this game's crazy, and you text me a picture that he was there. Then I found out there was a backup goalie in. Didn't know that, and the spicy pork that's come from that has been
so sad.
I'm almost sick of hearing the spicy pork because they talked about it maybe 40 times last night in the Ranger game. I mean, on the Hurricane game. But I texted Matt, and I literally, as soon as Pittsburgh scored, I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, nothing is worse than going to overtime game like that and losing. Overtime game like that, win, awesome, worth every second of your time. But after a loss, like that arena must have been just so quiet and deflated. It was something.
Yeah, it still hurts right now. But what a day that was. I had our senior seminar. I had my presentation that day. Absolutely killed it. I was riding a high for the rest of the night. Going to the Rangers game, me and Sawyer were the most hype we've ever been. I've been to so many games this year, and this was just the energy levels from the first to 2 minutes left in the third period were absolutely unbelievable. What a beautiful presentation MSG had for this game. They gave T-shirts out to everybody laying on the seats when you got there. There was also a little like light bracelet. We didn't really know what it was until the presentation started. It was coordinated with the sections you were in. The whole stadium was lighting up the whole time. It was great. What an atmosphere it was. I found my seats forever in MSG unless they change it again. But section 209, row. Oh wait, let's see. I wrote it down. These seats were absolutely amazing.
Row 23.
Row 23. You were right on the back, so you could stand up the whole time. The only thing you couldn't see was the jumbotron, but there was 3 screens about 10 feet up from us, so we could watch the whole time.
Oh, so you
saw the
you
whole
were up
ice.
There.
Yeah, we were like the last row in the 200s, but
so you stood the entire time.
Stood. Once it got into overtime too, we had to sit for a little bit, but we were up almost the whole entire game. It was a great crowd. We had a nice couple of rowdy guys next to us.
Oh, nothing better. And as long as they're rowdy and not like overly rowdy, like unless you, because we've obviously all been in situations where people around you go overboard, and that sucks. Like because then you feel like a bad human being for not saying something, but also like you're at a game. Like there's 20,000 people here. I'm not the only one to say something. Like, but. Yeah, good rowdy is fun, but man, you're the legal drinking age. Were you having a few beers? You knocking a few back, having fun?
Yeah, I had a couple. Once it got into overtime, like in MSG, they stopped selling after the second
period. It's everywhere.
It got to like the second overtime, you could just tell everyone was sobered up, and we were all just sitting there.
Not only sobered up, they were all hungover. That's the worst part. Is that when like the hangover? But yeah.
Once it got into like the second overtime, you could really tell that the energy was dying down. Quick shout out to Igor Shesterkin, 79 saves.
Ridiculous.
The second most in NHL history. First most is Giannis Korpisalo of the Columbus Blue Jackets back in, I want to say it was 2017 when the Lightning and Blue Jackets went to 7 overtimes in the first round. We went to 3. I thought that was a lot. I could not imagine staying for 7. There was absolutely no way I was leaving until a puck went in the net.
Of course.
I established that as soon as the overtime started with Sawyer. We were not leaving. I don't care what time I was getting home. I got a presentation the next day. I had no voice, but just being there, feeling the electric in MSG was just worth every single penny, even though we lost. Hearing some of the chirps from Crosby and Malkin. Jake Gensel had a good game with 2 goals. We were just letting them have it, though. No way they hurt us, but, it felt good screaming.
Oh, yeah. It's the best. You just get it all out. All your frustrations are out that day. 7 overtimes. I'm just thinking about how long that would take. Like the subways might stop running. Like, you might not be able to get back here. Yeah, I mean, what time? I think the game ended at like 11:50 is when I texted you. So the game started at 7. It was a 5-hour game. You got 2 for the price of 1. So that's... You always get value in that. I mean, listen, the loss kills it. If it was a win, like you would have told me you probably would have paid $300 for those tickets. But
I would have paid $5.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but I mean, just going back to the Garden. The Garden's always been electric. We talked about this last week. They really put a show on. Like the fans are knowledgeable. The Rangers fans have good fans. They always have. Outside that one stupid chant that they do.
I gotta talk about that because second period, I hear the whistle, and me and the guy next to me just didn't even say anything. We looked at each other in the eyes, nodded. As soon as it was Potvin sucks, we had to get a Crosby sucks. And then, our section just, liked it. And, every time there was the whistles, the whole section, Crosby sucks. And that was definitely a great time. I had to bring that up because I know how much you love that.
That one definitely plays. I mean, coincidentally, after we recorded last week, I have a class with Rosenberg. And Rosenberg actually said the origins of that story. It was just like coincidence. He obviously didn't watch the show because it was barely out. But just overall funny. Garden's the best. It really is. I've never been for a Knicks game, mostly because I don't really care about the Knicks. But I've been to a lot of Ranger games as a home fan and as an away fan, and the Garden just really sells out. Playoff hockey's the best. I've been to playoff hockey games in DC, Raleigh, the Garden, and Barclays, which doesn't really count. MSG is in the top two, and I don't know if it's two. So, really, just overall incredible experience.
Yeah, I have to say though, I know that you didn't get to see the goal that was called off.
Yeah, I missed that.
I was there for 5.5 hours. I should have been there for tops 3. Good rush down the ice by Capo Caco. Goes hard to the net. Dumoulin absolutely kills Casey DeSmith. Takes him out of the net. He's 5 yards out of the net, and Cheadle puts it into the back post. We went berserk. There was 2 minutes left on the clock. That was the icing for the game. And then all of a sudden, you see a ref skate towards the penalty box, and you already know Toronto is giving us the stiff fist there. And I've never heard some words that came out of these guys' mouths when that goal was called off. It was absurd. The whole arena was chanting some choice words, gotta say. And, smart as MSG is, I guess the producer turned up the music in MSG so you couldn't hear us screaming what we were saying. But it was just wild. I don't know what Toronto is doing. I don't know. Penguins had 5 power plays. They were 1 for 5. Rangers had 1, and they were 1 for 1. We scored a shorthanded goal, and, that was really just – it took the air out of the building.
Yeah, I saw the replay of the video of the goal. I mean, it was all over Twitter. It kind of looked like he got pushed into the goalie, so it wasn't really completely his fault. Who knows though? You just gotta hope that you'll get a call in game 2 or somewhere later in the series when it matters a little bit more, and it'll balance itself out. The fact that there are some bad omens going around though, because you can't not score on a backup goalie in overtime. That's crazy. When push comes to shove, that guy was literally eating spicy pork in between the first and second overtimes.
I mean, I don't know what it was. They were playing.
Imagine that guy's heartburn. Dude, I had spicy pork. Now I got to focus on stopping a Kreider tip-in goal. What am I doing?
I have to say, though, one thing they got away from definitely had to do with fatigue. I didn't see Kreider in front of the net much, especially in the overtime periods.
I mean, their time on ice was ridiculous. They basically played in that skated an entire game's worth of time, and
and it didn't help. Going into, I think it was the second overtime. Lindgren and Keandre Miller were not on the bench to start the second overtime. Keandre Miller wound up coming back halfway through the period, but Lindgren didn't come back at all. So that's a worry for us. But there's just no excuse, honestly. I have to say, definitely should have been over after the third period. But coming out there, Shesterkin stood on his head. It wasn't even like the Penguins, they were dominating us in overtime. It was back and forth, but, they were just getting pucks to the net. And that's what it came down to. Third overtime. Defenseman gets the puck to the net. Big nose Geno Malkin standing in front, screening Shesterkin. Actually, it was a crazy tip, hit off the shaft of his stick. Went to a corner. Nothing you can really do about that. But
so what's your prediction?
You got him in
Canes
5.
at 5? Canes at 5.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, I'm
Canes
sorry.
at 4.
I meant Rangers. Rangers in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't see they got not that they got lucky, but they played a good game. I don't see them beating Shesterkin in 4 games this series. I just can't see it.
True.
Panarin, one thing, Artemi Panarin, we could give this guy $11.5 million. The amount of times where he gets that puck on the left wing and just stops and stares directly across the ice and throws that pass, I probably saw it like 14 times. The guy gets paid $11.5 million and doesn't shoot the puck.
Shoot the puck.
I don't want to be like I hate those fans.
As I said, we are those guys now.
Oh, dude, it's so frustrating. I won't. Ryan Strome has the puck and a shooting opportunity. I'm screaming pass. That guy can't hit a barn, but Artemi Panarin. Oh God.
I was listening to Biz Nasty, Paul Piss and that on a podcast on my way out here, and he was like, "So this is basically the last hurrah for these Penguins. The Penguins that have dominated for my entire hockey lifetime. With Sid, Malkin, and
Fleury, Letang.
So he actually picked the Pittsburgh boys, but I don't know. I think what really hurt the Rangers, and I know that this happened to a lot of teams because of all the COVID cancellations and everything, but the Rangers played a tough schedule their last week of the season. They played 3 games in 4 days, including Canes, Capitals, and who I think it was maybe the Islanders that they beat or something like that. No, but I mean, Canes a playoff team, Caps a playoff team, even though they're down a little bit. They had a lot of games in a short amount of time, and that's just not what you need when you're trying to have a nice little playoff push. We'll see though. I really hope the Rangers win this series so I can get Canes Rangers, because I will guarantee that I will be at least 3 of those games, 2 in New York, and I'll definitely hop on a flight down to Raleigh for 1. So
yeah,
cheer with the boys, because you can't be. Listen, I was cheering when the Canes won in the regular season game, but as noted, the Garden is different come playoff time. So and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to back down from anyone. I've gotten to a scuffle or 2 in an arena. I don't have any issues with that, but man, I'm just playoff hockey is the best. And we've already spent a half hour talking about it. I could talk about it for another half hour. I would just throw the Mets minute out the window and just talk playoff hockey. But last thing before we move on is that the Canes goalie got hurt last night. Ronta got hurt on a interference play. Brendan Moore was fired up. How was our goalie going out for the game and their guy got a 2-minute? It was pretty cracked him straight up. That series is going to get chippy. I know a lot of series get chippy this time of year, but man, oh man, D'Angelo was playing like a tough guy. Like, he was laying wood. He was all over the ice last night. I think he had 3 assists on the first 3 goals. Their boys are buzzing.
Yeah, one thing, Rangers fans don't like Tony D'Angelo too much. He played a hard game. He always has. He's played for his teammates. Maybe not at the end of his Rangers career, but he always played hard, and that's something that I would expect out of him. He's having a monster year this year.
If they do meet up, and if it is Canes Rangers, that we heard D'Angelo booze on last Tuesday.
I can only imagine what it's going to be like during
playoff atmosphere. Holy. Those boys sitting in your section are have some things to say. That's for sure. Yeah, a lot of hockey. I'll do my Mets minute real quick, and then we'll kind of move on. How much time we do already? What's it say? Bottom right of the screen.
We got 28.
Perfect. Mets minute. I was really hoping I'd come in today and say we took the series from the Braves. No, we continue to win. I think either 7 or 8 straight series. Instead, we lost yesterday. We split. Didn't lose, so 2-2. We swept the doubleheader. And we're kind of we're making progress. We're chipping along. Few little things. So this Mets team is different. They spent a lot of money. They got this offseason. Obviously, the new owner is very it's no secret that he's one of the richest people on earth. Definitely the richest sports owner in North America. So they have this guy named Robinson Cano. Yankee fans know him. New Yorkers know him. Baseball fans know him.
Love Robbie Cano.
Exactly. A lot of people love Robbie Cano. Not so much these Mets fans. He was suspended all last year for PEDs. And so that gave him an extra year on his team control. We owed him either $30 or $40 million this year, The start of the baseball season, you were allowed to carry 28 people. It got down to 26 this week. Now, old Mets with the Wilpons, those cheap owners we had before, they would never just burn $30 million like that, cutting a player, give him the money, let him walk. My boy Stevie Cohen, Uncle Steve, guy with the biggest SEC fine in the history of the SEC, he don't care about $30 million. Wrote the check, get out of here. We kept guys like Dom Smith, Travis Jankowski all up on the big leagues, and immediately it paid off. Dom went 4 for 4 the day before against the Braves, keep giving us runs. Jankowski's all over the base pass. Like, this team is different. This podcast will not be in existence long enough for you to see like truly me when I rant. If the Mets ever go bad or if they ultimately whatever happens, like I live and die by the Mets. So it's unfortunate that this podcast will end in late May and we still have months of the baseball season left to go, but maybe I'll have to fire up the old Twitter machine and start firing off some tweets. But man, this team is different. I just said if it's Rangers Canes, I'll be at a bunch of games. If the Mets are in the World Series, you will find me in my seats. I don't know where my seats will be yet. I will be there every game. I will sneak in the game somehow. Like, I don't care. The tickets are gonna be ridiculous. I don't care. There's no shot I'm missing a chance to watch the Mets win a World Series. Wow,
yeah, that'd be a dream.
That is.
I can only imagine if the Rags are make it to the Cup. You already know.
Yeah, and listen, if the Canes win, don't get me wrong, I'll be fucking ecstatic. Excuse my language, but I'll be everywhere. But it's nothing like my Metsies. It goes Mets 1, Canes 2, everyone else after that. I do have the Jets jersey over my head, but I don't know. Until they prove
They had a good draft.
What?
They had a good draft.
Yeah, they always have a good draft.
That was one thing, we got a little sidetracked last week. Didn't really get to our draft stuff. But, it didn't, there was some, good players.
Yeah.
But
it was funny because I was just saying how boring the draft was going to be. That was my only note on the show last week was that this draft is going to be super boring. Turns out I was the biggest idiot in the room, and it was very exciting and very very happening. A lot of trades, a lot of big names, a lot of good players getting drafted. Georgia dominated, not shockingly because they won the national championship, but it was just like overall funny. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm no draft analyst. If you wanna find out who won the trade, go look up Bleacher Report or something. I don't know. You found the wrong guys for that.
So we got about 10 minutes left. Top 5 of the week, as we were talking about before. Top 5 sports video games. Now, I'm not I like sports video games. I really only play like a couple though. So, those are going to be obviously on the list. But, this week, usually the guy sitting in this chair got 1, 3, and 5. Last week I had 1, 3, and 5, even though I was not in this seat. So we're just switching it back to Adam, getting the 1, 3, 5
What did we do last week? I couldn't think of anything. Comebacks?
Yeah,
it was comebacks.
comebacks.
Yeah, Falcons and 3-1 Golden State. That was all I could think of, and that's pretty much still all I can think of the week after. Because some years were soccer, but we flipped them up. I mean, listen, I'm not Ninja. I'm not Nick Merckx. I'm not I don't game for a living, but I do love me some video games, and especially sports and video games coming together. That's my thing. So this was an easy week for me to take 1, 3, and 5. Easy week. I guess we'll just start at the bottom. Number 5. Even though this game has been the same for the last decade, there's nothing quite like picking up a brand new copy of Madden, throwing it in the system, firing it up. Whether you play Ultimate Team, you do the career mode, you play online, you play franchises. I found out recently there are a lot of people who don't even play the games. They just do the franchises. They do a rebuild. And they sim the games. Like, that's to me, I can never do that. But Madden is once they really change the game, they will actually change the game year after year. It's gonna be something. But I'm a sucker for Madden, like the nice 21-0 rule or 21-point rule. You know that one?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So exactly.
I have to say that's a good thing that you brought up. Same thing with my number 4. I got FIFA. I don't know what it is with EA. They're more focused on Ultimate Team and their packs more than the actual game itself.
I wonder why.
Makes sense, but like we need a change. EA's got to be overcome by some other sports kind of gaming thing. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Probably not.
It will probably never happen. But 2K, I thought 2K had a good chance of doing that, like the 2K franchise. But I mean, whatever. You can finish on FIFA, and then we'll go on.
Yeah, I was trying to get a little more specific with what I put on this list. Specific years. FIFA. I played every year. Just can't tell you the last one that I really enjoyed above the rest, like more than I enjoyed an NHL game or a Madden game. FIFA is just FIFA. Love soccer, and EA needs to change it. It's been the same game. I get new rosters. I pay $70 for new rosters every year. It's basically about it.
I did read something where they might be going away from that model, where they're going to put out new games every year. I don't know how soon it's going to happen because that's how these companies make money, because people are buying them regardless. But I mean, yeah, like you said, you can just update the rosters like in the game in real time. I think they don't shut down the servers of games till like 3 years. Till 3 new ones have come out. So this year they're shutting down FIFA 18 or 19, the online versions, but you can obviously still play on your own. But yeah, I mean the EA has dominated the video game market. It's annoying, but that's where number 3 comes in. And I really wish we had Gilbert for this episode because this is his thing. NBA 2K. When the pandemic hit, your boy was grinding 2K like. I'm sorry, Professor Myers. I know you don't go here anymore or will listen to this, but while you were in your class, I had my big blue button to the right. I was grinding out NBA 2K, trying to get my player to be an elite player. That was the first time where I really started playing sports games online like that, where there's just so many good modes. Like obviously there's all the offline modes, but you can build your player and work with a team and play all like co-op and everything like that. And man, me and the boys were grinding 2K, like putting in a lot of time because, like all video games, and you kind of talked about this a little bit with FIFA, and Madden has it to the extreme with Ultimate Team, is that there's 2 very distinct groups of people that play online and offline. If you play online, you need to basically pay to win, and that doesn't mean the $70 you're paying or $65 you're paying for the game. You have to buy these packs and this virtual currency and all these other things to get the best players and do all that stuff. And 2K was not like that. You get rewarded by playing the game and by grinding the game and doing like the mini missions and doing like the stupid things that aren't the most fun, but they reward you, and that's how you get better as opposed to FIFA, Madden, and I don't think NHL
give me
does
the credit card.
What?
Trying to get a good team,
dude. That must have been crazy. Like all these parents in their early age waking up like, who spent $95 on my credit card for FIFA? Like what is this? And man, we saw that big time with Fortnite, honestly, because all the little kids buying skins and everything like that, and we're ringing up like $500 worth of charges on a credit card in a month because Fortnite was doing that. But listen, at least Fortnite was free to play. Like there's a big difference in that.
Yeah, so getting into number 2, my personal favorite sports video game, the NHL series. Once again, they're not. I don't know. It's weird. EA usually just updates the rosters. They have been doing that for NHL in the past couple of years, but the last real good one that I played was 2014. I was like 13 years old, just mobbing, using the Rangers against my dad every day. But the greatest NHL game they have ever made, NHL 94.
And this is unanimous
so
too.
fun.
Like everyone who you talk about sports video games will tell you that NHL 94 was the best. It revolutionized the controls. No, that's still a setting in the game. Is what control settings you want to use? Oh, NHL 94. Like no brainer. I mean, people still use it. People obviously have moved on to the newer and better ones, but man,
that's just a classic.
What? Pass and shoot. That's all you need to do. Like what else do I need to do in that game? I love it. That's what I play on.
I gotta say, I've never actually played the actual NHL 94, but 2014 they had the NHL 94 mode. That was the 20-year anniversary, and that I played that more than I actually played the actual 2014 game, and that was the best there's been in like 8 years. So that's just to say, just so simple, so fun. Nothing with these crazy deeks that you got to do. where you think you got a little between the legs and then they just throw the puck off to the side. That happens to me so often, but NHL 94 just an absolute go-to game.
Yeah, all right. Number one for me, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with FIFA and Madden and paying to win, is MLB The Show. It came to Xbox 2 years ago. It was exclusively a PlayStation game for over a decade. I think the first one that they made was 04, back when it was on PS2 and PlayStation Portables, PSPs. But it came to Xbox. Now it's on Nintendo Switch, and they are the first, obviously you can spend money in the game and you can get rewarded that way, but there's a big portion of the community that's no money spent, and they, you can get rewards, you can get cards, you can get a good team for free, and that's what makes the online game modes way more fun. So that's what I've been playing for the last 18 months since it came out last year. I like being rewarded with things and not having to pay to win. So I haven't put $1 into the game this year, and my team is pretty competitive, and that's what makes it fun. Even if I'm not playing online, I can play offline modes, and I'll still have a good time, and you still get rewarded. But if we're gonna put years on it, I'm putting MLB The Show 21 because MLB The Show 22 this year is absolutely horrible. I can't get a hit to save my life. I'm batting below 200 with almost my entire team, which is atrocious. And of course, they put in Randy Johnson, the hardest throwing pitcher in the world, into the game this year. I don't know. I'm sure Madden and NHL do this, but they have old players in the game too.
Yeah, they got icons and
they
stuff.
They got rights.
It's just in the Ultimate Team version.
Yeah,
It's
so
not,
they got
offline.
They got big. They have a lot of they call them legends in MLB The Show. So I'm playing with some of my favorite baseball players of all time. Mike Piazza's my catcher, and you get to actually it's a fantasy baseball. Except how you want it. There's many combinations of the best players, and you can just. Not everyone's using the same guys day in and day out, so that's the cool part about it.
That must be great.
Well, it's not
FIFA,
like everyone's at the same 11 guys, right? Yeah, it's just you get a little bit of parity in MLB The Show, so that's cool. And baseball is just baseball, so they just everything bad that happened to the game, they'll just be oh well, that's baseball. You use the ball perfect, it's with a ball that should go 475 feet. You got caught the warning track because it's baseball. They don't. Get out of here with that.
I gotta say that's probably one of the worst things about sports video games. It's a simulation. At the end of the day, it's a simulation.
It's RNG, baby. Random number generator. Whatever the computer decides is your fate, no matter what you do.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
It's just you just call it the 2K cheese, where no matter what in the third quarter, you're the best team is missing. The team that's winning is missing all their shots, and the team that's losing is getting these crazy bounces and fouls, and it's called it the 2K cheese. I asked Gilbert about this. He denies it, but maybe he just plays a different mode than me because I know what happens. He's no expert or anything.
Real quick, just wanted to get into the honorable mentions of the list. You were saying 2K was your quarantine game. Me and a bunch of my friends decided we were going to play Rocket League. I played probably when it came out for a month, and I was not my game. Now I play it not as often as I used to, obviously during quarantine because what else was there to do. But, a couple of my friends have really progressed, and they're, dirty at this game, and I'm just I can get up in the air and boost for a little bit, but there's not much else happening. But
I enjoy watching Rocket League, but I've never, I'll watch it on Twitch every now and then, and they have some big crazy money tournaments for those things that I'll tune into, but I never was able to. I was never that good.
It's very hard. It's rewarding, but it's a very hard game.
Yeah.
And then last up, one of my absolute favorite games I've ever played.
Heck yeah.
Wii Sports on the original Wii. Absolutely game-changing.
We bowling, we baseball, no matter what it was a great game.
Best thing they had with this, no matter what game mode you were playing, if you came against that guy, Matt, it's an L. Just chalk it up. You're going to lose.
Just quit it.
No matter what you do. That's another RNG thing. It was scripted. Every time you game against Matt, there was just no way you were winning the game. Bowling, baseball, anything.
I love bowling. I love Wii bowling. And I got to a point where I figured out how to cheat the controller, and it was instead of doing your full throw, you're able to flick it down the other way and it'd be
Strike
straight.
every time.
What? Not every time, but I mean, like, unless you were playing Mad, apparently. Yeah, Wii Sports. That was, man. I remember in middle school, just maybe, it had to be middle school, just like running around my living room with that thing, like dodging people. It's like, well, dude, what are you doing? It's a video game. I don't care.
That was like the original grind game. You know, there wasn't really anything to grind for. It was just playing the game every single day.
With your what were those things called? The Wii emojis? What? They weren't called.
I think they're called Miis.
Miis. Yeah. What an interesting name for that. Miis.
Great game. I used to smoke my sister in every game we played. That was dirty.
Of course. If you don't smoke your sister in every video game, what are you doing? If you don't smoke your sister, it's time to hang up the sticks. Unfortunately. We got one more show. One more show.
What a great ride it was.
It's been fun. Definitely. For considering how this kind of all came together last minute, first week of the semester, making sure we got this done. It's crazy that we're doing a podcast for credit. It's just like, ultimately, looking back on it, it's awesome. If you do want to continue this podcast when we graduate, hit us up. You can find, put in the YouTube comments, text one of us if you have our numbers. We'll get you in contact. We are looking for someone to take over the show. Completely up to you. Obviously you guys know how we do our show by now, but you just get the name and the rest is up to you. So we give you the YouTube name, the login, the whole nine, and then you can do the show. So if you want to do that, let us know. And maybe we'll announce it. Maybe we'll announce it next week, or we'll have you on next week. Either one.
Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. For one of the last times, hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel real quick,
like the video.
Yeah, next week, not 100% sure about the time, but maybe there will be a little announcement on the YouTube channel once we actually figure it out. We got finals, so one last time to really grind it out for one more week. Might never have to do schoolwork again in my life.
Might do an hour and a half show for all we know. Who cares?
Might get a little crazy, but once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. We will see you again next week.
Peace.